If you knew morning wood, then you know why I feel blue. Without morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Oh, how my heart yearns for you. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood.
Happy Devil's Wednesday. Rise and shine. This is the Morning Woo. Coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios inside the bunker, an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, Twitch, and now Instagram Live on the Let's Go Devils Network. As the Devils need to regroup, because that loss last night was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Losing 8-4 to the Colorado Avalanche. The streak, 8-game heater, done. The penalty kill got demolished. I haven't seen the latest where the Devils' penalty kill ranks in the NHL, but it probably is a mid-tier level, giving up not one, not two, three, but 4 power play goals last night to the Avalanche. It hurts. Kind of banged up this morning after watching that debacle. And Jacob Markstrom starting in net, the debate is now, like, is that a little too much for someone that's been out for a couple weeks with a hand injury? He was obviously rusty. He was not himself last night with all the high offensive power that the Colorado Avalanche have. I get it that you beat the Colorado Avalanche with Jake Allen, Jake the Snake, 4-3 in overtime at the Rock. But the first game that Jacob Markstrom plays, along with Lamico, replacing Cody Glass and Seamus Casey, both making their debuts. Seamus Casey has some big skates to fill. Brett Pesce out for a month. That was a little too much, and you saw it right in the beginning of the game. Just a routine play, delay a game, Jacob Markstrom. And some of the goals he gave up early on, I think a couple of them were a bunch of softies. But to the Devils' credit, believe it or not, they came roaring back to make it 5-4, 4 unanswered goals in 4 minutes. The quick strike offense. However, last night's loss, you can't entirely blame Jacob Markstrom because he started to make some decent saves once he got in the rhythm. Devils were down 5-4. But this is what happened. Bad penalties, bad defense, bad penalty kill. That led to the demise of the New Jersey Devils last night against the Colorado Avalanche. So all the above, with the exception of that 4 minutes, the Devils didn't play 56 minutes of hockey last night. They really didn't. They had a chance to win, believe it or not. They were within striking distance in the middle of the second period, towards the end of the second period. And then the Timo Meier penalty, then giving up the power play goal, making 6-4, but now you're on the power play. You came within inches of making a one-goal game going into second intermission. It was so much ground to make up. At the same token, it was kind of nice to know that this team kind of fought back. But in the third period, you see why the Colorado Avalanche, they are a third period team. They just took over. And that's what elite teams do. Devils had no answer for it and wound up losing 8-4. Not even a counterpunch, not even a goal. Came close a few times, but Scott Wedgwood still has a chip on his shoulder when he plays against the New Jersey Devils. But the Devils need to get back to basics, especially with Brett Pesce gone for the foreseeable future, for the next 4 weeks. Didn't I tell you, defense, defense, defense? Last night, the Devils had to work that much harder on offense to just try to keep up with the Colorado Avalanche, to tread water. And that's where those big mistakes started to happen. Because they were trying so hard, they were taking riskier passes, riskier moves, which led to bad penalties as well. But they have a chance to regroup and play the San Jose Sharks tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern. I see some comments in the YouTube Live. See a couple of those watching on Instagram Live. Joanna, Maccabee. Pod Legend 76. At this point, I think Sam just knows when I get in the car. Happy Wednesday. Woo. Well, happy Devil's Wednesday to you. Pod Legend 76. Max, happy Devil's Wednesday. Today should be the morning boo. That was scary bad, but today is a new day. Today is also my anniversary. Happy anniversary to Mrs. Wu. 9 years of marriage. And she's a big part of this podcast, because if you want to know how this podcast started, the Let's Go Devils podcast back in, technically the podcast started in 2017, October of 2017. But in October of 2016, got married, went on a honeymoon to Australia. Amazing honeymoon, November of 2016. And after which, I had to have surgery on my foot. It was a gruesome surgery. Doctor found a lump, or I was complaining about there was a lump on the bottom of my foot. Went in, had some CAT scans, MRIs, all that stuff. Doctors didn't know what it was, if it was cancerous or not. Went to the RJW Barnabas cancer place, I guess, near Rutgers. The oncologist said, we're going to have to operate. Pick a date. So I picked literally 1 month after I got married to Mrs. Wu to have this surgery. We kept it quiet because we didn't know what it was. a little scary at the time. And it turned out it was a thing called, it wasn't cancer. It was, the doctor said I hit the lottery ticket of all diagnosis. It was an AVM. If you remember Brian Boyle, when his kid, I guess they didn't know what it was, and it turned out that it was AVM. I guess AVM is something with when you're a kid, all the ventricles or whatever, the blood vessels are all tangled up and messed up, whatnot. So I got very lucky. It was probably the best diagnosis you could ever get. But I had literally an open wound on my foot, and I was laid up. And people asked me, well, how did the podcast start? Well, I was laid up, and I was sitting on the couch, and the Devils were just losing and losing and losing royally. They sucked. And with nothing to do, I went on Facebook Live with my phone and started ranting. And that's how the Let's Go Devils podcast was born. Because people like the rant. This is pre-Woo Report. And that's how it became the Let's Go Devils podcast months later. On October 22nd, I believe, of 2017, our maiden voyage, episode 1 on a Sunday. And if you go back in the archives, it was terrible. We had so many we didn't know what we were doing. But that's how we started the Let's Go Devils podcast. And now it's the Morning Woo. And thank you for all the anniversary witches. Max, happy anniversary. Dubzilla, 47, great job and keep up the great work, Sam. Happy anniversary. Thank you. Chris Ladd, happy Devils morning. Happy anniversary. Thank you. Happy anniversary, Pod Legend. 9 years should be always celebrated. Yeah, so that's how the Let's Go Devils podcast started. Was actually, what turned out to be very scary, thing with my foot. Going to a cancer doctor 2 weeks before your wedding is never fun. But said I could go on my honeymoon and all that stuff, so I had a great time. But that's how the podcast started. Because the Devils were tanking at the time. And I literally had like an open wound sitting on the couch. It was like a scene out of Saving Private Ryan when they were on the Normandy beach. It was disgusting. Anyway, and Max says, tell Mrs. Wu for me too. Will do. John Phil says, I turned off the game at 2-0 after the penalty from Markstrom. I already knew where we were headed. Absolutely brutal thought process of putting him in on a heater without 8 games played. I agree. At the same time, I'm also looking at it. You don't want to burn out Jake Allen. And I'm also looking at it. You got to get Markstrom, throw him in the fire. But to sacrifice one game to do that, I'm not so sure about that move. I think Jake the Snake Allen would have gotten the Devils in, I'm not guaranteeing a victory, but Jake the Snake Allen wouldn't have looked so rusty in the beginning. But the rust should be off for Jacob Markstrom. And usually Jacob Markstrom, to his credit, throughout his career, bounces back after a debacle like that. And I think that's one positive sign. You've got 3 games coming up, 3 games in 4 days, starting tomorrow against the San Jose Sharks. Then you got LA and Anaheim back-to-back Saturday and Sunday nights. If Markstrom is going to be able to bounce back like he traditionally has the next game, and Jake Allen is still lights out, this could be a 500 road trip. And I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with, and what's concerning, is when Brett Pesce went down So did the defense. That's going to be an adjustment. Brett Pesce blocks a lot of shots. How many shots were on Jacob Markstrom last night? How many shots hit the post against Jacob Markstrom last night? That 8 goals could have been easily 16 goals last night because the Colorado Avalanche, it was open season since that first penalty, 18 seconds in the game, that delay game penalty. NY Davey, I agree. Everyone chill and relax. Take a breath. Yeah. And Max, there was a statistic. I actually retweeted it. Negative 3.82 goals saved above expected. Basically, it's kind of like in baseball, your starting pitcher didn't make it out of the first inning, and he gave up 7 runs. It's going to inflate your numbers. These numbers are going to be skewed. If I was a statistician or an analytics guy, I'd take out that entire game because those numbers are so bad. It's going to bring all those numbers down. And it shouldn't discount the Devils' success in that eight-game heater. But as what Ted says, begin a new streak, but that was a brutal loss. It was brutal. And it's not a bad thing to have a good hard failure every once in a while. It's not. That's how you build a team. It's how you react to that failure, which the San Jose Sharks should be aware that the Devils are looking to go on a tear. And that bounce back is what I'm more interested in looking at, not so much the 8-4 loss, because losses are going to bound to happen. That's just a reality. No team's going to go 82-0 in the NHL season. This league is tough. Wins are tough. Losses are going to happen. But a good hard failure all around will humble the New Jersey Devils, and they'll go back to work. Get back to what got them that 8-game heater. Defense, defense, defense. Their offense, they had to work hard last night because they were just playing catch-up. It was a different team. They were taking more risks. With more risks are more mistakes. But they have a chance tomorrow to make it right. NY Davey, Seamus can handle it. Give him a chance. Seamus Casey needs his reps. He just came back from injury. Not making excuses. It's just where I have a problem not putting Jake the Snake Allen is you have too many guys making their you got 2 guys making their debut, both coming off of injuries. If you look at the lineup last night compared to the lineup on opening night, somewhat a different lineup. No Dananoff, no Pesce. You just barely got Jacob Markstrom back. There have been injuries. Cody Glass out. Again, there has been injuries. And Connor Brown, downtown Connor Brown, was invisible yesterday. Invisible. But Gritsik, I thought Gritsik had a decent game. Man, that guy can forecheck. Chris Lass said, what makes a truly great team is how they respond from loss and adversity. Absolutely. It's how they respond and take this loss and grow. Again, a good hard failure is not a bad thing as long as you respond and improve. And that's what this is a long season, folks. Max makes a great point. That Meyer penalty was the mood killer, game killer, and comeback killer. Was I the only one who thought we were cooked when he took that trip? No, you're not the only one. I thought the same thing. Because when you're coming back like that, 5 down, to make a 5-4, you have all that momentum on your side, 5-on-5. Now you just give the Colorado Avalanche, who has a potent power play, a chance to make things right. They took advantage and give them credit for it. Devils didn't play great defense last night. The penalty kill was awful. Goaltending was awful as well. All the above, it was awful. But somehow the Devils were still within 1 goal late in the second period. That part is interesting to me. But they couldn't pull it off. Had they pulled it off, it would have been amazing. Devils After Dark. Dougie Hamilton getting on offense. Grits and Jack seemed like the only ones motivated to score last night, says Max. Pod Legend says just take their anger issues out on the Sharks. Steve Tartas says Keith Blewett needed to start Allen in that spot. Well, you're playing Monday morning quarterback, mind you. Hindsight's 20/20. I think we're all thinking about that. But there is a benefit to starting Markstrom last night. At least he's got a starting point. Coming back from injury. It can't get any worse than this. He will bounce back. That I can guarantee you. He will bounce back. But if not, Devils are, I wouldn't say in deep trouble, but you would have to reconsider that extension that's been talked about with Jacob Markstrom. How much? How long? All those details. I'm not saying not to offer an extension, but if he continues at this rate, his value is going to plummet. Pod Legend, Devils didn't play great anything last night, Sam. Just 4 minutes. It was that 4 minutes of hockey. That's when the Devils played great. They were a scoring machine in those 4 minutes, and then it stopped. Alrighty, well, we're going to get out of here. Dropping the podcast about 10, 20 minutes. A little tired, so I got my highly caffeinated beverage. Yes, my highly caffeinated beverage. Got to get in the car. Got to get to work. It's not like that Blink 182 song. Work sucks. I know. It does. But here's some good news before the ceremonial sip. The Frozen Frenzy. Lots of scores. The Devils find themselves, and here's the positive news. After that debacle last night, the Devils just barely find themselves number 1, numero uno in the NHL right now in the standings. The entire NHL. Tied, there's a 5-way tie, and the Devils have the tiebreaker because of those regulation wins in that 8-game heater. They're tied with Utah, who lost yesterday to the Oilers 6-3. Montreal won yesterday. They're at 16 points. Pittsburgh got a point yesterday, losing to the Philadelphia Flyers, 16 points. And the Colorado Avalanche, who beat the Devils, obviously, last night with a solid win. 5-way tie, number 1 in the league. But the Devils have only played 10 games and 1 game in hand. At 8-2, 16 points, 16 great points the New Jersey Devils have. But in let's go over the scoreboard last night. So Flyers losing to beating the Penguins 3-2. Maple Leafs over the Flames 4-3. Maple Leafs are going to start having a fire sale at some point. They are the bottom of the National Hockey League. ESPN has crashed on my phone. Give me 1 second here. Golden Knights beating the Hurricanes. This is good for the Metropolitan Division standings. 6-3 in Raleigh on Frozen Frenzy night. The BJs, the Blue Jackets, beat the Sabres 4-3 in overtime in Buffalo. Also, let's see here. Ducks over the Panthers. Ducks over the Panthers in South Florida in a shootout. 3-2. Islanders losing the Bruins 5-2. Lightning over the Preds 5-2. Jets, the Winnipeg Jets in overtime beating the Minnesota Wild 4-3. Red Wings over the Blues. Red Wings look pretty good this year. 5-2. Blackhawks 7-3 over the Senators. Nice football score there. Stars blanking the Capitals in Dallas 1-0. Obviously the Devils losing to the Avalanche 8-4. Oilers 6, Mammoth 3. We talked about that before. Rangers getting the shutout over the Canucks 2-0. JT Miller making his debut back, first time back to Vancouver after being traded. That debacle. Canadiens winning in overtime 4-3 over the Kraken in Seattle, and the Kings over the Sharks 4-3. And that's your scores. So the ceremonial sip. I hope you have a good day. Now you're going to get some Ranger fans in your ear because they won 2-0. But just remember, the Devils are still numero uno on the top of the NHL. So I drink to that, New Jersey Devils fans. I got my hot mug right here. It's my anniversary. Mrs. Wu, 9 years. I love you, Mrs. Wu. And it's going to be a good day because tomorrow is a new day. Today is a new day. Hit the reset button and just get back on track. And your New Jersey Devils, I believe, will be doing that. All right. Now Pot Legend just got to work. Excellent timing for the ceremonial sip. Raise my mug to you, the Devils fan. Having a sip with you. That felt good. Stay safe, everybody. Till next time, this is the Morning Woo. Let's go, Devils.
You, morning woo, with a love so rare and true.